What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Career Mode. This is episode number 22, and we start today's episode off looking at a new left back, Creswell, Briggs, and a Korean left back with the first three we were looking at. Of course, Shane Lowry, of course, our best left back, is 69 rated, and he's on his way out of the club at the moment. He's most likely going to Wigan, and that leaves us with just one left back. That'll be Scott Malone, who's only 66 rated, so I decided to look at the left back options, and I then found Jack Robinson. Now, this was interesting. I saw his contract was expiring at the end of the season. He's only on 10 grand a week, and I also noticed he was on the loan list, which was kind of surprising because I haven't seen him on the loan list at all. Yeah, it said when I went into his player profile that he was listed for loan, so that was kind of odd. But I thought, with that in mind, we may as well inquire for him. So we might be getting Jack Robinson on loan, and if we don't get him, we'll look at those free. But to be honest, we've got barely any money, so I think Robinson on loan would probably be the best thing we can do, just to save a bit of cash really, and not just buy a random backup left back who won't be good enough to even replace Scott Malone, who's only 66 rated. But anyway, yeah, the first game of the Barclays Premier League is finally here. We're taking on Cardiff in Wales. Now, obviously this game is, not really meaningless because, obviously Cardiff have stayed up, so, good for them for staying up in the first season. But to be honest, I would imagine that Cardiff are kind of going to be a bit of a mid-table side really this season. And, if we can get some points off them in the early few games, get some points off them, a win would be perfect. But get a few points in our first few games, we could really sort of build some momentum and build some confidence, because if we lose our first few games, it's going to be difficult. But it'll be good to get some first points in the first game. But sadly, we did go behind just 10 minutes in. I gave the ball away with Mark Beavers. The cross came in, and I think it was Fraser Campbell who got his head to the ball and put the ball in off the post. So sadly, Cardiff were in front just 10 minutes in. So 1-0 to them. But in the 22nd minute, a great chance here. Liam Trotter plays a wonderful through ball to Brian Carrasco. Tried to round David Marshall, didn't do a very good job. And sadly, the shot from a tight angle was well saved, but it was still Cardiff 1, Millwall 0. But some encouraging signs, our first chance in the Premier League. But we had a corner here in the 40th minute, it was cleared away, only as far as Scott Malone. Malone gave it to Mark Beavers. Beavers back to Eden Nilsson, who shot from range. But again, Marshall makes a good save, and Trotter sliding in, puts the ball into a dangerous area, but there's no one attacking it, sadly. But it's still Cardiff 1, Millwall 0. But we're showing some signs of encouragement. We tested David Marshall a couple of times, and showing that we could possibly put the ball in the back of the net here. But in the 49th minute, Eden Nilsson, our right backs onto the ball, gives it off to Ryan Gould. First time passing to James Henry. Henry with a great cross into the box. Carrasco gets his head to the ball, but sadly his diving header is well saved by the goalkeeper, and from this Frimpong takes an effort, and again Marshall makes a good save. So he was playing pretty well, David Marshall. Sadly, 15 minutes in, we were 1-0 down, but we had quite a few chances, we really did, and it wasn't all one-way traffic as well. Coming into this game, I suppose most people would think that Cardiff would have an easy win, but it wasn't all one-way traffic. They were in the lead, but we were playing quite well. But he brought on a double substitution here. Junior Stanislav's coming on for his debut, and Andy Keogh came onto the pitch as well, as we were still trailing by a goal to nil. But in the 80th minute, a great chance for Cardiff from this corner. It swung into the box towards the head of Campbell. It's up in the air, it comes out to Kim at the edge of the box. It's crossed in towards Gary Medell, and he gets two chances, and he takes the second one. And sadly, Medell makes it Cardiff 2, Millwall 0. So 10 minutes to go, Cardiff score for the second time in the game, and sadly that wraps up all the 3 points for Cardiff, because we're not going to be able to come back from that. But in injury time, we did see Andy Keogh, the substitute, come down the left-hand side here, takes on his man, chips it over the top to Brian Carrasco. Carrasco's free down the left-hand side, fake shots, gets himself inside, shoots again. Marshall makes a great save, but it does indeed fall to Andy Keogh, the substitute. He puts the ball into the back of the net, but it's not enough for us. We do go ahead and lose the game, and it wasn't a real surprise, to be honest. It was a 2-1 defeat. Cardiff didn't have too many chances, but they took the ones they got, and sadly it is a defeat on our opening day of the season here in the Barclays Premier League, and it's not a surprise. And to be honest, there were a lot of positives to take from that, really. We had a lot of shots on target. Marshall made a couple of really good saves, but sadly, 0 points from our first game. It's not an ideal start. It's the worst start we could have, really, but there were some positives, and we'll have to take those into our next game. But we also saw that Stephen Bywater has left to Ipswich. Fantastic news for us. And we also saw that the bids we made for these left-backs were rejected, and it is not a surprise. I mean, these left-backs are probably going to have some high valuations. You can see here, they're quite a few £1 million, which we can't afford, really, and we asked the clubs if they would, accept a lower bid, but let's be honest, it's it's not going to happen. It really isn't. I was just seeing, just in case, but it wasn't going to happen. But Shane Lowry did indeed leave the club. He's gone to Wigan. He left for 650 grand, so we'll get some money for that. It's not a lot of money, obviously. We'll get a bit of money, but we also saw that Ipswich said they wanted £8 million for Creswell, so that's not enough for us to afford him. And also Liverpool accepted the bid for Michael Ngoo of a few £100,000 plus Scott McDonald. So I was pretty happy with that, because as I said, I'm not a fan of Scott McDonald, and Michael Ngoo is young. He's got potential to grow. We had him last year on loan and he was okay. He wasn't great, but every time he got on the side he did okay. So that could be quite a good deal for us. And also Liverpool said no to the deal for Jack Robinson. The reason they said no is because I used the future fee and saw if I could try and get him on as cheap after the loan deal, but they said no to that, which is fine. So we decided to take it out and see if they'll just accept a simple 12-month loan period. But we'll have to wait and see. But West Brom once again rejected the deal for Berahino, not a real surprise. And we also saw that Michael Ngoo accepted a contract, so that's good. That's pretty good. I mean, sure, it's 300 grand plus Scott McDonald for him, which you might sit there and think, hang on a minute, McDonald's rated better than Ngoo, and you're paying money plus giving him to Liverpool. What's that about? But to be honest, Michael Ngoo 67 overall. He was only one behind Scott McDonald in terms of overall. Plus he's only 21 years old, so he's got room to grow. And I'm sure this guy can get into the 70s for his potential. So I think that's a fine signing, to be honest. I'd rather have Ngoo than McDonald anyway, so I'm pretty pleased with that one. But Ipswich then come in for Jimmy Abdu. They want him for 230 grand, which is his valuation. And I've also noticed that he has said that he wants to retire this season, so we decided to accept that. And we'll see if Ipswich will take him off our hands. But I went into the loan list once again, and this guy Bentaleb, I saw him play in real life against Southampton on the last weekend, and I was actually really impressed with him. So we're going to try and get him in on loan, and hopefully he'll have some decent overall and some decent potential, as well as this guy from Arsenal, Akpom, a striker, only 18 years old, seems pretty quick, but he's only going to cost us 2.25 grand a week on a wage budget. So this guy will barely get into the side. He'll play like 5 times a season, and he's going to cost us like nothing on the wages. So that's exactly the reason why we decided to go ahead and make that loan deal. But yeah, Abdu did go to Ipswich for 230 grand, and we did indeed see that Liverpool, Arsenal and Spurs all accepted the loan deals. The first one was Jack Robinson, of course, to play left back, so I'm pretty pleased with that, because I know he's going to have higher overall than Scott Malone. And also Akpom and Bentaleb accepted the contracts. I decided to stall the Akpom one just for the time being, but as you'll see, I do go ahead and accept it in the end, just to see if I could get anyone better for the same amount of wages. But Bentaleb comes in too. And these are the two players, Robinson and Bentaleb. Robinson is indeed higher than Malone in terms of overall. He's 68, Malone's only 66, so that's good. He's still not a great left back, but it'll do for the time being. And Bentaleb is 69 overall. So again, Bentaleb will probably be a sort of a bench / reserve player, but I'm sure it'll be okay. And Akpom, we also go ahead and accept this contract, because again, he's going to play like 5-6 games a season, unless we do have a striker crisis, and we will need to play him every now and then. And he's only 59 overall, but 2.25 grand on the wage budget, like that's fine. We're a club that doesn't have any money to spend, so if we can pick up a reserve striker for next to no money on the wages, that's fine. He'll sit in the reserves, he'll grow a few ratings this season, and if we ever need to play him, we'll play him, and hopefully he'll do okay. But we're barely going to use him, so I think that signing was perfectly fine, really. It just shows that we can get cover without having to pay too much money, really. But anyway, the second and final game of today's episode was against Crystal Palace here, so another South London derby. Now, of course, we've played Palace already this series. We beat them in the FA Cup last year away at Selhurst Park by 2-0, so we know how to beat Palace. We've already done it, so there's no reason why we can't collect the first 3 points of the series here. First 3 points of the series, wow, I would have been sacked by now. First 3 points of the season here at the Den. And to be honest, Trotz leaves the side out, and although Palace do have an okay side, I feel we've got the better of them, really, especially with the home advantage. And they've got some decent players, of course. Barry Banner's a player I do rate, Yannick Bolasie as well, but even so, I still feel we've got the better of them. But it was Palace who had the first chance of the game in the 26th minute. Murray flicks the ball on from a free kick. It comes to Yannick Bolasie, but his shot is well saved by Nyland, and Palace failed to make the most of it, so still 0-0. But a good chance for us here. Ryan Gould intercepts his man, goes through with the fake shot, takes aim, but sadly Julian Speroni makes a good save there. So 37 minutes in, still Millwall 0, Palace 0. We did have a corner here. Henry crosses the ball in towards the head of Mark Beavers, and sadly Speroni makes another good good save, and it's cleared away. But that was how the first half ended, so no goals here. But straight from kickoff in the second half, Carrasco gets onto the ball, does some nice skill, really good build up from Carrasco, ends up chipping the ball into Kim Ojo. It's cleared away, but Ryan Gould snuck in at the far post there all alone, and sadly he couldn't put the ball on target. Speroni puts him off. It's still 0-0, but what a chance it was for Ryan Gould, but still 0-0. But in the 54th minute, Eder Nilsson comes through. He's got the pace to beat his man, crosses the ball in down the right hand side. Ojo gets onto the end of it, but sadly his volley goes into the side net, and he was never going to score from there. But even so, it would have been good to make Speroni work. But it's still 0-0, and in the 74th minute, another great chance for Kim Ojo. His header is cleared off the line. It was probably going wide anyway, but still cleared away by Palace. The ball then comes to Fabrizio, and he's an absolute mile out, and I decided to let fly. And what a goal that would have been by Fabrizio. I thought, why not have a go, to be honest, because he's actually got some decent stats for a sort of a ball playing slash, not a David Luiz type centre back, but still a type of centre back that can get forward a little bit. And he struck it from range, and Speroni had to make a very good save. So still Millwall 0, Palace 0, and with 10 minutes to go, Junior Stanislas comes off the bench here, crosses the ball in towards Kim Ojo. It's up in the air. It comes to Carrasco on the volley. Brilliant stop by Speroni, sadly, and the ball comes to Ngu. Down the left hand side, Stanislas gets onto it, chips it in towards Kim Ojo. It's headed away again, and sadly for us, the ball comes to Josh Wright, who gives it away, and Palace do manage to get the ball away. So it does finish 0-0. So sadly, only 1 point from our first 2 games, but I was glad to get the first clean sheet of the season. I feel we should have won that. You'll see the match stats in a minute. We had a lot of shots, but we just didn't take them. I mean, we knew it was going to be a tough start, but even so, I guess I'm pleased to get a point in a clean sheet. That's better than it could have been, and I guess we'll have to take the positives. But as always, guys, a big thank you for watching today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a like, and I will see you for the next episode of Career Mode very soon.